Okay, welcome to Eric Kimonye Talks. So on the risk perspective on the active-active versus active standby, active-active is more riskier and sometimes can even be less riskier than the active standby. And the reason is the active standby, once these machines are off or on standby, you have to ensure that you keep on testing. So if they doesn't work during a failover or a switchover or during an issue, then you have an issue, then you have a crisis. But also the risk comes on the active in such a way that should there be an issue, for example, you've been hit by a malware or a ransomware, if it hits one node, it hits everything. And so you're actually offline. So, but in terms of the risk, in terms of in case one machine is off, you can always continue. And that's why I'm saying it's a balance on how you look at it. And compared to the active, if for example a ransomware or something hits your primary or the active bit, you have nodes or servers waiting for you to just switch them off, which you can separate from these ones and continue your business. So that's a balance. And so I normally look at it like that one. They have scored 1-1. So for both active and active standby. So use cases. So where do you use active and active standby? So I'll suggest, and this is my personal advice, I'll suggest if your organization or if you prefer performance over recovery, then go for active. If you prefer recovery rather than performance, then go for active standby. And doesn't mean that active standby does not give you performance. No, it's only that in terms of load balancing, active does better and gives you a better performance. But active standby, it gives you performance, but not at the scale of the active. And so my verdict, my personal best is actually active standby because of number one, the risk. You reduce the risk of exposure in case you're hit by a malware in case of a downtime for the active standby. Number two, you can always do your own BCPs because there's a working site and you can always do a failover. You can always do your test on your DR, etc. And when it comes to things like complexity, active standby is not very complex in terms of failing over your services as compared to active. And again, when you look at it from a resource point, when you're buying those servers or those nodes, whether on cloud or on-prem, you're actually going to need both, because at the one time, you'll need to run your services at one specific site in case you have an issue on the others. So, and that's why I prefer it, and it's one of my preference in terms of using it, having used both of them in different scenarios. For me, that's it for this week in terms of active architecture. Thank you.